What's going on?
Evan, how are you?
We're together in the Turf Nerd studio, are we not?
Holy smokes, we are.
Really?
Yes,
that is a lot of
really.
holy smokes, isn't it?
Yes, we're finally together.
Well, we got a really special someone coming on the show today. Why don't you tell them about him?
Well, today, Evan, we've got Brodie Milne. He's the Chief Marketing Officer at YAKTA. He started his career with Aeroquip, and that's the sister company of YAKTA. And he started over there about a little over 8 years ago. He's become the CMO for YAKTA, and he holds a commerce degree. And a little bit more background on him. He began his career doing marketing for major print publications with millions of dollars.
Really?
Really. Allowing him to experiment with different tactics in print, radio, billboard, and digital marketing. He was an account manager at a major marketing agency called Direct Focus. His clients were Geldwin, Nike, Safeway, and the Dufresne Group. He left there to work for GM, focusing on dealers and their advertising dollars to be more digital and customer focused. And he also participated in the rebranding of Cadillac. Okay. And then he went to YAKTA, and there he said he's loved every minute of it. And I think we need to go ahead and welcome Brodie Milne as the Chief Marketing Officer at YAKTA.
Without further ado, here you go, guys. The floor is yours. I want you to give us a 30,000-foot bird's eye overview of YAKTA and how you got involved with the company and really what the company is about, because no one knew about YAKTA until Equip Expo of this year. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you guys very much for having me. It's really exciting. Yeah, I guess the best place to start is a saying that we like to have in our company is that we're a startup, but we're not a startup at all. And what I mean by that is that our owner group have been manufacturing for over 30 years. I believe it's 33, 35, somewhere in there. And they started off in the cattle handling sector. And I don't know for you guys or those that are listening that know a lot about it, but it is a very dangerous industry. And with our sister company, which is Aeroquip, the owners set out to better that industry, an industry that was relatively unchanged for decades, that didn't take safety a lot into consideration, and didn't supply enough back to the end users or even to the dealers. So I came on as a CMO for Aeroquip back in 2016, and we were a relatively known brand, but we definitely got our market share from 2017 to today. We're now a world leader there. So like I said, I was a CMO at Aeroquip, and our CEO for YAKTA was the CEO for Aeroquip. And it's his father that found the company. So the family decided that they want to diversify the portfolio a little bit, and they want to be able to supply that same end game, that same customer service, that same satisfaction, that same engineering in another sector that is otherwise been dormant. So it was after speaking with our dealer network with Aeroquip that they decided that it was outdoor power equipment. So our CEO, Andrew Firth, left Aeroquip to his brother and decided to go and start up YAKTA, where we're taking the same premise that we have for 30 plus years and bringing it to the outdoor power equipment sector. And that the primary goals there that we're trying to go and do is supply a unit that is not just another unit that makes tall grass short. That's what we hear all the time is, are you guys just another unit that's making tall grass short? And as much as everybody wants to go and say, no, they're not, there's very little that they're able to go and provide that is a differentiating factor. Ours is, we start off with the warranty for the 5 years, 2,000 hours, and people think that it might be a gimmick, but, we go and take it one step further to prove them wrong in the sense that, well, we're going to cover everything except for battery, blades, and tires. So that means that we're covering Hydro Gear, Briggs, Kawasaki for longer than they go and manufacture themselves. And we're doing that to, again, bring what we know into this sector, which is really standing behind the decisions that we're making on behalf of the consumer. it's really easy. We can go and pick any partner that we wanted to go and pick. But we had to take everything into careful consideration so that we're making the best decision for the end users. So they end up getting units now that are built heavier duty, that are backed by industry leading warranty. And we support our dealer network so that they're not price competing with the guy that's across the street. Because all that ends up happening through that is that the consumer ends up suffering. Furthermore, we have a promise to never go and sell to big box stores. And again, taking a step back with our sister company, we've been asked, and we've said no, because we know that's just going to end up hurting the consumer. So, and even more so our dealers. So that's really what we're planning on bringing to the outdoor power equipment sector. And then of course we have our split frame side that we can talk more about as well. But that is as 35,000 feet up as I can give you right now.
That's awesome. Greg, did you have something you were going to say?
I was just impressed. One of the things you were talking about was the that warranty, and I happened to reach out to one of your dealers. And there was another question I had for you too eventually is, one, how many dealers do you have? But the dealer that I happened to talk to, he was excited about your warranty. He said, Greg, this is one of the best things I've ever seen out there. So tell us a little bit more about that warranty if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. So our warranty, again, everything except for batteries, blades, and tires is 5 years, 2,000 hours. And these are expensive units. We're not overpriced in the market. We're right there with everybody else. We're right there with all the competing products. But overall, it's an investment. It's an investment for a homeowner, and it's the means of livelihood for cutters. They're trying to make a decision that keeps them going. So if you're a cutter and you're sitting there and you're trying to figure out, okay, what's my best decision to go here? What can I keep my staff fed on and their families? How can I keep my family fed on? You're going to start looking at absolutely everything, and warranty is the number one thing. Is this brand going to stand behind what they say? And is there any small type? So with our current lineup that we have in market, the day of this recording, all of them are covered for the 5 years, 2,000 hours. That is to say that we are behind you. We are also holding ourselves accountable for those people that we are going into business with, that being Briggs, Cowie, Hydro Gear. We're making that decision on behalf of the end user and on behalf of the cutter, and to give them peace of mind that they can focus in on being able to expand their business rather than have to go and worry about units breaking down. And that's also why we have the split frame too. That keeps that overhead down for the cutter.
Hey, Brodie, quick side question for you about the warranty. This could be a, I don't know. I feel like with mower blades, I mean, I bought a brand new set of blades, and then you go out and you ding a rock. Why aren't the maybe it's a dumb question? Why aren't the blades kind of covered in that? Maybe it's some sort of like program you can get where it's like, hey, you buy YAKTA blades. It could be like a reward. What's the kick on not doing some sort of like coverage on the blades?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I don't have the full answer to that. But it's a very wearable part, as we know, and it's very dependent on, is there hidden rocks underneath that tall grass that you're cutting for a customer that you're doing. So there's so many factors that are more unknown that are also not within the control of anybody. It's just fate may have it that you drove over something that bent them to shreds. So that's high level what the thought process is on that. We have talked about some sort of subscription program where we can go and just keep refreshing the braids on your behalf, or you're able to go and trade them in, get sharp ones. They'll take back the dull ones, trade, and they'll have those then for the next consumer, and it kind of starts like that. But high level, that's the general consensus. That's just too many unknowns and too many misfortunes that happen with the blades and what you might find underneath some of that tall grass.
Good response. I only asked that because the price of steel is like through the roof now, and I've tried to scrap my mower blades, and I had almost 220 pounds of blades, and they gave me $2 for them because you'd say you guys are trying to keep your mower prices kind of competitive, in that same market. So, blades is the one thing. I've gotten blades from other big companies, and it's not even trying to look for a rock, and you just hit something, and then it's basically destroyed. And like once that corner gets too rounded or just chipped right off. So I would urge and encourage you guys maybe do some sort of subscription, but it's just it's tough keeping costs low, and it's good and to know that you guys are doing that.
Yeah, every dollar counts, right?
I think the other thing you're going to have is if some guys know that they've got a warranty on their blade, hey, that rock just happened to show up out of nowhere. So you got to be careful of those guys, that the self-destructive kind of guys.
Yeah, and I think that's what has, while you talk about that, I think that's what has a lot of our competitors a little shy on even offering half the warranty that we go and offer, is for those unfortunate circumstances where, somebody did something that they really shouldn't be doing on a mower and taking advantage of that warranty. That might happen, but the benefit that the many go and have from warranty through trust with our customers and just wanting to do better is going to greatly outweigh those that might try to take a shot at you or take any advantages.
Okay. The other thing you said, one thing you said, and then I had a comment, which I was really impressed with what that dealer had told me as well, was the small print. You said that small type. I just tried to do something today, and they were supposed to give me a free phone, and come to find out you had to be a new client. And I said, where is that in the print? So I appreciate the fact that you're saying that you don't have that small typeset there. The other thing that I was pretty impressed with was, and this was what the dealer had said, was you guys are taking care of the dealers too with this program. Yeah. You're taking real good care of them. That guy was excited what you were offering. Tell him. Can you tell us what you're doing for the dealers?
Yeah, and our dealers are, at the end of the day, our core customer. We don't sell direct. We take care of the consumers. We have in-house customer service. Again, our warranties and all of that is for the end user. But at the end of the day, our dealers are the front line. They're the ones taking care of that end user, and we got to make sure that they're kept care of. So we're offering a $200 an hour shop rate for the dealers that go and do any warranty work on the units.
Wow.
Yeah. And that there's a lot of reasons for that. Starting off with the consumer, it keeps them front of line so they can get back up and going. So we won't end up, our units won't end up at the back of the line.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. Now I get a mower from you guys or from my dealer, and it's a YAKTA mower. I know they're pushing me to the front. And I got to be honest with you, one of the dealers, I work with a different mower because YAKTA's not out yet. But my guy, when I take my mower into him, I'm at the front of the line. And you don't know how much I appreciate that, as opposed to taking it somewhere else where it's 2 weeks.
Exactly.
To get my mower.
And dealers are needing to go and keep their doors open. It's the American dream that they're all chasing, and you have to make smart business decisions. And if any one of us were dealers, we're going to go and take the units that are going to go and keep our lights on over having to go and deal with a manufacturer that are only charging us pennies on the dollar, reimbursing us pennies on the dollar, and then that's going to in effect go and hurt the end user and their downtime.
Brodie, I don't know if you've said this though, but I had a hydro seal bust on one of my stand-on mowers from a pretty big mower brand, and this busted in the late summer of 2022, and they didn't get the part replaced until basically December of 2022. How backed up are you guys on parts? Because I had to go to the Equip Expo to complain to this other brand. I'm like, look, I'm a longtime company at this dealer, and they're like, we're just waiting on this company to get this part. And I'm like, seriously, my mower was down for basically 4 months, and I'm like, okay, do you guys have good shipping on are you guys backed up on parts here with this warranty coverage and things like that? It's like because how much longer can we use the pandemic for an excuse, right?
Yeah, quite frankly, I think in most cases we're past that. Consumer buying has gone down, which means that volume's gone down. So parts are becoming more accessible. And again, that's where years of manufacturing come into play. And furthermore, that's where having more of a family business comes into play. So we're able to go and look at the parts and identify what's going to be the most wearable, what has the most likelihood of failing, and especially the third-party parts. And we go and keep stock of that. We're going to be working very closely with our dealers to make sure that we have as much of those parts on hand so that the user could just go and get it. But for the event that something happens that is very uncommon, we are setting up for 24/7 shipping and delivery.
Wow, that's great. No, he was pretty excited when he was telling me about it, and I think he's really excited to start working with you. And with that in mind, I guess transition to your mowers. What can you tell us about your mowers? You've got 4 different kind. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those, if you like? Is that where you want to go next?
Yeah, sure thing. So yeah, we like to say, we watched something, we like to say it, we hear it a lot. If Batman had a mower, it would end up being a YAKTA. They are built to fight a lot of crime and to take a lot of damage. So our range from our ride-on units range from our YXR 910, which is our heavy-duty commercial unit, our YXR 710, which is another commercial unit. And then we also have our YXR 510. And that's where things get really interesting. Is the 510 was originally thought to be more of our prosumer, almost residential unit. But we just can't help ourselves but to build these products that last. So, more we went and kind of looked at it, and more it was still on that price point that was there. It is the machine that a lot of cutters are also going to be going to, especially, and when you say the startup cutters, everywhere from their startup to the mid-range cutters are still going to be getting that unit. And we didn't want to mislead them by saying like, well, this is like a prosumer residential unit. You're going to want to go and get into the 710 because they can use the 510, and the 510 is that of the majority of the commercial units out there. So really what we have is that we have, from a ride-on standpoint, is that we currently are starting off with 3 products that are all commercial ready, commercial built, with the YXR 910 and YXR 710 definitely being core commercial use. Then we have a YXS 710, which is our stand-on. And that essentially is our stand-on version of our YXR 710.
I was really impressed, Brodie, about your YXR 510. I've been looking at this brochure here for a while when you sent this to me a long time ago, and I said they have a Kawasaki engine on it, or you can do a Briggs & Stratton, and it's a 24 for the Cowie and a 27 for the Briggs. I'm sitting there, man, they're starting to load these out. I thought it was a residential, but these stats are standard for commercial mowers. I could see some people going out and buying the YXR 510 and putting it through the ringer for the commercial field. My big thing was if you could wax on this more, who was the genius behind overpowering all these engines, and how do you're probably the number one leader for like you're overpowering engines with horsepower. There's also torque. There's more things that go into it. But who's the genius behind this of saying, hey, we're going to overpower this and keep it at a competitive price at the same time?
Yeah, that would be a combination between our CEO and our engineers. The engineers were our first employees hired, the first ones that Andrew Firth went and brought on, and they are our biggest investment. So really what it comes down to it is the considerations they're putting into all the different situations that the unit's going to go and get used in, and not pigeonholing anybody. The genius behind it is to develop units that do exactly what you need them to go and do. And because our casters, our caster arms and everything or everything's built so heavy duty, you want to go and say, okay, well, it's going to get used for commercial guys. Let's make sure that we put the horsepower behind it as well. And if it's going to be for residential prosumer guys, well, it's going to be part of their inheritance. So that's also great. Can't complain about that.
Okay, so you've got the 3 different mowers there for the riders, and then you've got the stander And Evan and I both happen to use standers. And so what can you tell me about that stander? I'm really happy with my stander. I've really liked that. What can you tell me a little bit about that for purely selfish reasons?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun watching everybody go to the standers. And if you're not using a stander and you get the opportunity to hop on one over top of a sea of riders, everybody just will line up behind the standers. So definitely know where you're coming from. So it's an engine mount. Sorry, it's the engine is mounted to the deck. We did that for the sake of belts not slipping off for reliability reasons. Again, you guys don't want to be riding and you hit the wrong bump and the belt slides off and now you're kind of hooped because you don't want to ride it on an angle. You want to keep everything as level as possible. We have really great suspension on the platform. We have our cup holders. All of our units, or sorry, I shouldn't say all of our units, are 910, 710 as well as the standard also have a USB-C fast charging abilities on it. It has the digital display as well as our 9 and 710s. But it's an overall beast of a product. It runs real smooth. The ride's real good. Suspension, again, that's something that, you can be on there for 8 hours a day and you're not going to feel it. And yeah, it's there's a lot to go and say about it, but overall, it's been the one that's gotten the most attention.
Do you know, Brodie, the technology behind your LCD screens? Like the mini screens on it's like your infotainment system on the mower. Would those short out? And then two questions piggybacked off of that. Can this stander be used? Can that be used for more of a multiple use machine like your riders that can split in half? And do all the machines come with like the iron anti-scalp wheels?
Yeah. Okay. So a lot to unpack there. So I guess to start off with was with the digital display. Let me ask you guys a question: is when something's going sideways with your vehicles, or be it your truck or your mowers, like what's the number one thing that is generally the most frustrating when something's going sideways?
Diagnosis and trying to figure out what it is, right?
Exactly it. And that's what we went to set out to go and do. So before we decided on the digital displays, the question that we had was, if something were to go sideways on the unit, how can we ensure that we can alleviate the consumer's frustrations in that moment of time? As soon as something goes sideways, you're thinking, how much is it going to cost me? How long is it going to go and take? When can it be up and running again? And what am I going to use in the interim? So when we're trying to troubleshoot that, we decided that we're not going to hide the diagnostics of the units. So then we had to think, okay, how are we going to go and do that? So we came up with the digital display. It's the easiest thing to go and do. Really early when I came on board from YAKTA, from AeroQuip, there were conversations about supplying everybody with that unit that you would go and plug in and then would read the diagnostics right there and you would be able to see it. That quickly morphed into something better, which is the digital display. So I think it's important to recognize first and foremost that the displays are just that. They're displays. There's nothing critical that you need the display for to operate your mower if something were to happen. But they are IP65 rated. So they're extremely durable, extremely waterproof. There's no seams, nothing for them for any water to get in there to go and short them out. And it reads your RPMs, your gas. And when something does go sideways, not only are you going to get a code that you can see at the back of your manual, what that actually means, is that it will also read what the problem is. So at that point, depending on your abilities, you get to decide, okay, is this something I can go and do? Can I get the parts? I'm going to call YAKTA. They're going to go and ship them in 24 hours over to me. Or is this something, this is beyond me. I'm going to go and take it into the dealer. I know exactly what it is. I know what my downtime is going to be. And you can also determine right there and then if what critical alert is it? Is it an alert that you can run through, but you need to have it in the back of your head and schedule something? Or is it a unit where you got to stop and put it on the trailer and deal with the situation?
Shut down immediately or possibly continue on. I like this because this is telling us with these diagnosis codes that you can eventually look up. I mean, it's like taking your car into the auto place, the AutoZone or O'Reilly's or something like that, and they run the codes on your car. We're seeing those codes right there on that screen.
It's not just a check engine light. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
It's not just a check engine light.
Yeah, it's giving you the code, so that's helping us out tremendously out there. That's impressive. Are you guys the only ones doing this?
As far as I'm aware, yes, but I'm happy to be corrected on that.
That's great. I didn't realize that was that one of the system functions. That's impressive. That's I mean, I'm not a mechanic. And for me to be able to see something like that and to be able to turn around and call my dealer and say, hey, this is my code. Do you have this part or can I bring this in? Now, it kind of reminds me of another question, though, is warranties with regard to my edger or my trimmer. If I break that thing open, my warranty is no good anymore. So if I get a code and I say, hey, I think I can fix this, and I go ahead and fix it, and for whatever reason, because I'm not a mechanic, I can't get it right. When I take it into the dealer, is that still covered under warranty then?
Yeah, that's a good question. That'll probably end up being a case-by-case situation. If you are capable enough of being able to crack it open and give it a reasonable whack, but you weren't able to go and get all the way there, we shipped you the parts, whatever the situation might be, and it's still not sounding right, still not running the way that she used to, that there won't be any problem with that at all. If you're somebody that, I'm just going to crack it open and see what's under here and let's pull this wire and connect it here, that might do the job and stuff like that. And you start a small fire, we might have to go and talk about it. But that's also not saying that we wouldn't go and cover that at all. So it will be situational based in that sense. But we don't want to shut everything down just for a likelihood, back to, people that might take advantage of any warranties. We don't want to shut something down for a likelihood of a small handful of people that might do something like that, where the many will be far more capable, and we don't want to take away anything from them.
That's impressive. Like I'm like floating in my seat now, Brodie. You can't see me now, but you'll see the video later on. It would be on YouTube, guys, and all platforms. But as what Greg said earlier, I used to drive a Ford Ranger, and the check engine light came on, and I had an old Italian neighbor. His name was Marco. He goes, "Hey, let me get on my computer here." And we plug it in, see what's wrong with it, and it would read a code. It's really cool. You have that. I want to pick like the software guys, like developers, engineer. Like what software will it run to give that diagnosis? But that's a real big catch. And as far as I know, no other company out there, guys. And I'm like the custom PC building nerd. I'm on technology and stuff. And I can tell you the ergonomics what I like about my current mowers, and no other mower out there has a really has an infotainment system like that can dial in and be able to tell you what's actually wrong with your mower. Because I guess the manufacturers could be, and maybe the dealers too, could be kind of selfish. Hey, we don't want you to know what's wrong with it, so you have to take it up to the dealer and fork a whole bunch of money to fix that. So it sounds like you're prosumer and pro-consumer and pro America with these lineups of mowers, and on that. Do all of them come with the iron scalp wheels or anti-scalp wheels?
Yeah, so out of the gate right now they do. And there is that perception that the scalp wheels could go and do damage to your lawn with them being iron. And it's kind of a fun conversation to be in, because the alternative in most cases are some sort of molded plastic. And the molded plastic versus the iron, the plastic literally will have to break for it to not cause any damage if you ever got into those situations. And generally, a molded plastic is still a very strong material, and it's still gonna beat out the turf. So if you ended up in those situations, the casters are not going to do any more or less damage than what a more traditional scalp wheel could go and do. But we are looking at having the option to be able to have more of a nylon caster wheel that we wouldn't recommend for commercial use, because a couple of seasons they're going to be worn out. You would want to go and stick with the cast iron ones, but we chose the cast iron ones because when you go and look at the the molded plastic versus the cast iron, all day long, the cast iron is going to go and last longer than the molded plastic and doesn't cause any more damage to any turf.
That's actually really cool because speaking of, I ruined one of my anti-scalp plastic wheels this summer. I was riding up just a transition in a driveway, and I had my deck a little too low, and I destroyed the wheel, and it fell apart. And then putting on the new wheel was kind of a pain. But if I had YAKTA's iron anti-scalp wheel, I would have probably done more damage to the driveway and then not my not my machine. So that's that's awesome. I see for your is this just for the riders, these attachments, because you have a Harley rake, a blower, a sweeper, a snow blade, a rototiller, and an aerator. Saw a video on your Instagram account the other day. I was so shocked, dude. Like the mower literally splits into two pieces, and you can ride off and put attachments on. That totally takes the work out of trying to re-level a deck. I was. What's this attachment thing called? Because I mean, Greg and I were kind of joking. I mean, Greg, you were calling it a multi-force, right?
Yeah. Well, it said it in the on the site. It called it a multi-force, and that's why I was trying to look it up and find out a little bit more about it. So tell us a little bit about that, because Evan, I know the mower he uses, they offer a lot of different pieces on that. And I happened to see somebody else's video today of what some of the things that he was doing with his. And I was going, wow, this is really nice. And mine doesn't offer that.
Yeah. So first of all, to the first part of the question, that it is only available for the riding units. The standard does not have that option. So I guess the why behind the what in it is when we're thinking again on how can we alleviate more concerns of cutters, of some of those prosumer guys. One of the biggest concerns is anything that has a lot of moving parts. It involves maintenance, it involves money, and they're expensive to get out of the gate. So we wanted to try to come up with a way that we can manufacture something that alleviates a lot of these concerns. So enter our split frame technology. So what you're able to go and do is by just a simple lift of the lever and toolless belt detach, you're able to back off the deck, and you can move on to, if you're a cutter and you want to go and have a bigger deck on for whatever job that is, you can go and do that. If you're looking for an all season round thing, you can go and get into a snowblower. If you're then needing to go and blow leaves in the fall, you can go onto a blower, or you can get into the Harley rake. Those are the units that we're looking at doing. The main number one reason that we have it as a split frame and not something that just goes and attaches is because we want to be able to keep all of the weight backwards. So you want to keep it towards the back wheels. So if you were to use a snowblower, if you're in a climate that needs it, we do have snow tires that you would go and put on there to give you a little additional traction as well. But most of the other units that are out there that do offer some sort of attachment bring all the weight forward, which doesn't give you the traction that you need. And it does become a lot more unsturdy than if you had the center of gravity exactly where it needed to be. They're built specifically the way that they are to keep the end user safe. As soon as you start to move that center around, it becomes more and more unstable. So we had to go, and again, we wanted to develop something that alleviated those concerns, that kept them safe, but kept them, moving in less than 5 minutes. So you can go and attach onto something in right now about 5 minutes, and we're looking at getting that down even further, around 3 minutes.
Oh my goodness, you're like taking that like a loss for words right now. The mower that I have on it's a stand-on mower. You can put a plow on it, but then you have to change the wheels though too. And when we're in Michigan here, I think you're in Canada. But what I noticed is I only weigh about 170 pounds, guys, and using this plow, even with the snow, tires on, I wasn't able to push some of the snow because I'm too light, and the weight distribution, I think, on my mower, the current mower brand that I have, I joke because the guys who I plow snow with, there's this one guy, he's 6'2", and he's big, and when he uses it, he's getting a lot more, snow off the ground than me, and I almost have to like jump up and down on the mower to get it, and I think part of that's the weight distribution, errors with that. I think Greg's in the same boat when it comes to, even with our stand-on mowers, the weight distribution, we kind of slide around everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's going to be important. That's huge. When you were telling me some of these things, and just the ease of being able to disconnect that and be able to toolless, to be able to hook it up and just go. That's again, as not a mechanic, that for me is something that's really impressive. I want to be able to get there and go. The blower attachment, I would love that, especially as we're doing some of our cleanups. If you get a real nice blower there, and then eventually potentially getting into the snow blowing possibilities, some of those things. I think that's just going to be amazing to be able to work with these things. So your dealers, when I spoke with that dealer, did you have anything else on that, Evan, yet or no?
Yeah, quick thing, Brodie. So when you can, the mower splits in two pieces, and that's awesome. How easy is it to move the deck and re-level the deck back on? Because my mower that I have to put the plow on, you gotta take the deck off and change the angle of the front caster tires because it helps with I guess traction and get the weighted wheels. So I mean, maybe I'm crazy, guys. I'm absolutely insane, but I think deck leveling, it should probably be done. I mean, I used to have a different series of mower and I never leveled the deck and I thought it cut fine, but over time, Greg and I have noticed with our mowers where it sometimes can leave weird stripes into the lawns, and no, my spindles aren't bent, or my blades tips aren't bent either. So how easy is this to I move the deck on off, and then when it comes to deck leveling, will we ever have to level a deck with a YAKTA mower? I mean, unless someone's driving it like into a brick wall and ruining it, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. What I hope comes out of this conversation, and especially for your viewers, is that I want everybody to be able to take a moment and to think about, are the manufacturers, it doesn't just have to be a mower, it could be anything that you get, are they thinking through the concerns that the end user is having? Like what you're talking about when it comes down to the leveling of the deck. And if they have, what are they doing? So we thought about that. And we thought about, okay, if this is going to be about 5 minutes and they have to go and spend all this time re-leveling things to go and get the same cut quality, especially for cutters out there, where if they go and put on a bigger deck, or they went from a blower back onto to a mower, that's too much downtime. Even though it only takes 5 minutes to go into it, now they got to go and re-level everything. So we thought about that as well. So exactly how you leave the deck is exactly how it is when you go and put it back on. And leveling is really easy in the event that something does get out of whack, or you want to adjust the tilts or something like that. But we wanted to make sure that this is a very fluid, seamless integration that just allows you just to pick up and go, pick up and go, pick up and go. Nothing getting in your way, no concerns. You get to go and do your work with confidence.
That's music to my ears. It's like it's Christmas every day. It really sounds like you're saying even your manual, your operator's manual. I think I'm the only guy out there, guys, who actually reads the darn operator's manual on how to change the hydro oil and filters, how to how much oil capacity do these mowers take. But even I had to level my deck twice this summer because it came from the factory actually 3/4 inch off. My buddy has a little Oregon deck leveler on Amazon. It's actually accurate, and side opposite to the discharge of the deck, it was it's off by 3/4 of an inch. And reading through this mower's manual that I had, it's like I'm reading through this, and I'm like, is this written? I mean, did they put this through an AI generated software or something? It's like, why don't these manufacturers help me out? Just make it easy so I could level this quickly. But it sounds like you're taking the guesswork out of it, so we don't have to just put the deck back on, and it comes like that. Because I'm all about changing the rake and the pitch of the deck, guys, and a lot of that can be done just through the tire pressure. And guys shouldn't really have to mess around with that stuff. But I feel like you're educating us here. But my industry, I can knock a ton of guys. I'm not a mechanic, and Greg's not either. But I tell guys, it's like a trinity here. You got to learn how to change your tires on a mower, your hydro filter by yourself, and the oil change. And most guys just can't do it. But then, I can shoot myself in the foot because I've tried to done it and do it in years past, changing, hydro oil. And usually I overfill it, or I didn't put the filter on the right way, or you score the filter. So it's sometimes, you live and you learn. But praise God, guys, that YAKTA is seeming to wanting to actually, they're actually wanting us to buy their, product and not just, hit us with a hefty price by making it easy to actually, change out, attachments and things like that.
Well, we could take a moment on that one comment that we are doing everything that we can possibly go and do to find the concern and think about how we can alleviate the concern. And like we kicked off this conversation coming from our sister company, AeroQuip, the saying there is that we don't believe the best cattle handling equipment has ever been invented yet. We believe the same thing with the mower side or outdoor power equipment in general, is that the best one hasn't been invented yet. But good luck stopping us from trying to go and get there. And as soon as we get to a point where people are like, it is the best, there's nothing that you got to go and do differently, thank you very much for existing, that just goes and drives us harder to go and figure out there must be something more that we can do. That's almost complacency, because people don't know that they could get better. They don't know things can go and become easier. So we're always going to be striving for more, striving for better, and doing our best every single day to one day maybe somehow have the best mower yet. But right now, it ain't out there. But we're going to constantly be thriving to go and get there.
That's great. So question for you then is, because you're talking about the versatility of being able to take these things and move them, replace put a blower on, put a snowplow on. This crossed my mind. Can you take, I've got a 60-inch mower, but I've got a client with a 48-inch opening fence. Can I buy a separate deck, a 48-inch deck, and still use it on my 60-inch mower?
So right now with the split frames, so for the YXR 910, you can get the 61 or the 72. For the 710, you get the 54, 61, and 72. We will be developing more decks to be able to give you more of that versatility so that you can fit into some of those tighter spaces. But that's just an example to my statement that I just made, is that there's always something more that we can go and do. And definitely on that aspect, to go and provide more versatility for different situations, we'll be continuously adding to that lineup.
That's impressive. Man, Brodie, we've covered a waterfall of information, and just to kind of land this plane, you've been so gracious with your time. Give the users kind of a YAKTA. You guys basically had an idea and a prototype for a mower in less than 1 year, and you just threw you cast your lot into Equip Expo this past year and kind of took everyone by surprise. So just to kind of close this out, give us kind of like the story about how you guys got it to equip so quickly and just kind of rocked everyone's world.
Oh, that's $1 million question, isn't it? It was definitely a lot of hard work. It's, we're not going to kid ourselves or, try to say that this was a walk in the park. It definitely wasn't. But we are a company owned by a family that are extremely good at manufacturing. That's what they do. And they are, the only thing that they're better at than manufacturing is listening. And that is to the dealers and to the end users. So you get that ingenuity through their mindset, through the manufacturing and the listening skills, and the fact that they always go out with their hand up and not their hand out, allowed us to be able to get to market faster than everybody else, because we're focused on the user. We weren't focused in on, okay, how much can we go and make on each unit? Okay, cool. That's not enough. Let's go and cut steel here. Let's cut steel there. We don't need to be so heavy duty there. That's definitely, if I was going to say what the secret would be in order to go and do that, besides just a lot of hard work, would be that mentality that oozes through our company of listening first. And if you listen, everything's going to end up being good for everybody involved. And again, we're really good at manufacturing. The owner group's been doing it for over 30 years. They work with a lot of businesses as well that go and do it. So everybody's always learning from each other as well. And you take care of the consumer, the business will take care of itself.
I like that you said listening. It produces good. It's the same thing with marriage though too. I've been married almost 4 years, but it's like, your wife's a lot happier when you actually listen and do what you're told, and that's a really good company model. Greg's got one quick last question for you, Brodie, but did you see?
Yeah, shoot.
Maybe I missed it. Did you guys say that you made, was it cattle herding equipment?
Cattle handling equipment. So our sister company, AeroQuip, is where we came from. So, think about a bull and how scared you are just even hearing the word bull, let alone having to go and work that animal and to doctor it and all that stuff. Like these animals will run straight through your house without even thinking about it. And they'll act like nothing happened. So that equipment has to be safe, has to be durable, has to be reliable. And especially in a day of age where, out there in the ag sector help's becoming harder and harder to find. Margins are becoming thinner and thinner. So you're working with your young ones. You're working with your wife, and you want to make sure that they're safe. And if you feel like they're not going to be, you're going to end up trying to do it on your own. And if you're trying to do it on your own, you're probably going to get hurt. So, taking that same mentality of understanding that and being like, okay, how can Junior, as little as young as 10 years old, can go and help dad work these big animals? How can we bring that same mindset, the same safety, the same thoughtfulness behind every inch of the product to the outdoor power equipment? And that's what we're doing.
Okay, that's great. I mean, it's so important to be able to have that and to know that you've got a safe piece of equipment to work with, and that you guys are spending your time doing that and making sure that we have that. So we're talking about your mowers and dealers. How many dealers do you have right now? And when is the equipment going to be available? And can you give us price points, ideas on price points?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the first part of the question was the dealer side. So currently we're coming on to 50 dealers. Very mid-January, we should be closer to 60 by the end of our first year, 150, 175. And that's just going to keep going and going and going. The dealers, anybody out there that might be listening, if you're interested in becoming a dealer, don't hesitate to look us up and reach out, and we'll be happy to go and put you through the process and hopefully develop a partnership. The next part of the question, I'm sorry, so we talked about dealers, and then the next part was...
When's the product going to be available? And then the eventual price points on some of these.
Yeah. For sure. So we're currently gearing up to go and start manufacturing through our second plant that we're building right now in the next 3 weeks. So we're really excited to be gearing up and turn all the lights on and all systems go. So they will start shipping out in about 4-ish weeks. Then we will be developing plans are well underway for our third plant, which will be in Knoxville, Tennessee as well, to go and keep up to the demand that we're already seeing and hearing. And then when it comes down to price point, that's one thing that I wish I probably had directly in front of me at this moment. Sorry about that. Don't have all of those numbers quite memorized.
Just ballpark. We're not too worried. Yeah. We're not going to hold you to it. We'll just hold the dealers to it. But
oh yeah, and all your listeners going over there as well, right? Yeah,
we're gonna have a lot of turf nerds listeners here, guys. We're like, hey, Brodie couldn't tell these people out there in Canada can't tell me the price. I mean, what do we do, right?
Yeah, I hear you. So I can give you cash price promo price for, let's say, I got some units that we haven't even talked about yet. So there's some definitely surprises that are going to be coming in the new year. So the YXR 710, 54-inch deck, 30.5 Kawasaki Evo engine, EFI. With the 3-inch suspension seat would be about $13,597. Again, that is a commercial unit. And if you want to go all the way up to a similar model, but for our top of the line unit, that's going to be running about $16,700. And then for the 510, that one that we do see most of the demand coming from, is it commercial? Is it high-end prosumer? That one is coming in about $9,500.
Interest, that's right. That's a price point here, guys, with the industry. That's not ridiculous at all. Real quick, Brodie, before we let you go so you can get on to your son's hockey game. What other? I mean, can you tease us? What other products you got coming out for 2024?
Yeah, so it's funny talking about the 510. There's a video out there, and I forget who was interviewing me at Equip. The name escapes me, but my boss, the CEO, was right next to me, and we're walking from the 710 to the 510, and I was like, this is our prosumer unit. And then he's like, no, it's a commercial unit. We just heard too many people are coming in within the first like hours of it opening. Everyone's like, that's commercial, and that's an awesome commercial unit. So that got us back to the drawing board because there's more that we got to go and cater to. So we're going to be ending up releasing a YXR 310 as well as a YXR 110. So I don't have those exact dates confirmed yet, so I don't want to make any promises. But those definitely, the 310 will be coming out this year. It should be coming out. Hopefully, it will be out by late February into March, and then the YXR 110 soon after that. So looking at that unit, so let's just talk about the 310. As an example, on a 48-inch deck, you'll get a 23.5 Kawasaki 691. You'll get the 3800 hydro gears. Those will come with ROPS. Promo price on that would be $8,500 or $8,491. I'm sorry. And then for the 110, again, don't quote us quite yet on this, but 46 inches, 23 horsepower Cowie, hydro gear 3100, and that's going to be coming in at about 6,600. But don't quote. I'm not holding an accountability on that last price quite yet.
No, that's all right. It's not out yet. So those sound great, and you're covering the whole gamut there. So
yeah, and keep in mind too is that even the I-beams on those is that we have 3/16 I-beams top and bottom, and then the caster forks are 1/2 inch. For our 7, 9, and our 5. I don't know the specs yet on I don't have them in front of me, sorry, for the 3 and the 10, but they're going to be just as or very close to as durable. So those prices are meant to last. Those aren't something that you're going to have to reconsider in 5, 7, 10, 12 years.
All right. So we've asked you a fair amount of questions here. You've been great in answering the questions. Is there anything that we haven't asked that you'd like to tell us, so that we've missed, that you think is really important for us to be able to share with the listeners?
No, you guys are really, really, really thorough. I guess one question a lot of people have is the mid-lift blades and why we're going with mid-lift blades. And I know that's something we talked about a little bit too before this interview. The reason for it is that, again, we want to try to develop a unit that works for as many people as possible right out of the gate, and that they're not having to adapt to anything that they don't know. So we tested these units in wet conditions. We really started our rigorous testing in the spring, which was really wet here. We had real clean cut quality. The discharge was great. We got our baffling nailed. There's very little stagnant air. And then we have a narrower chute design that goes and ensures that combination gets that suction that goes and gets it out. Now you take that, and some people, let's just say we're talking about the panhandles, wetter conditions. You're going to want that horsepower to make sure that you're getting that clean cut time and time and time again. High lift blades do take more horsepower than mid lift blades. So for that user, mid lift is just going to be fine. You can still get good striping if that's really what you're really interested in. You get real good striping with mid lift blades in those conditions. But your horsepower is going to be getting that clean cut. If you're in conditions that, wet conditions is less of a concern, you can easily go and swap out, and you can go and get into the high lift blades and use that horsepower to really go and get what you can get out of those. We will be also offering mulching blades, the mulching kit. And yeah, we want to make sure that these units are very versatile to go and match what your needs are. Also, nothing is custom. It's not, this blade only works with our mower. Is that we want people to be able to adapt and change things to their liking to get it exactly the way that they want it. with more common materials like the blades. So that's definitely one thing.
So Brodie, this is your YXR 9010 big boy.
Yeah.
You got the guys. They have the Vanguard 40 horsepower. Man, if I could talk, and the Kawasaki 38.5 horsepower. This big block, guys. If no one knows, it's a big block with 500-hour oil changes. I would love to, probably get struck by lightning first before we can hopefully demo some of these. So I'm just curious, though, Brodie. I slapped some high lifts on this, and in the spring we're in southeastern Michigan here. We have a combination of the rye and Kentucky bluegrass. I'm just really curious because I have a lawns. It's a 17-house stop. You have people who overspray and over-fertilize. Sorry, guys, no knock on you, but you're taking a lot of people to the cleaners by overspraying. I'm just curious, 6'8", 10-inch grass, different grass types, how, the discharge distance, on this too. And you talked about how the baffled, design is to be able to, push and project the grass, out. This will really cut back, I think, guys, big time. I'm all about not leaving stragglers. Any mower does, regardless. But you're going to have probably a pretty even and just as an admirable cut quality and pretty thick and wet grass. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Again, that's when we started our rigorous testing, and it couldn't have been wetter. To the point where you would actually probably no sensible human being would actually go and probably cut grass in the conditions that we're initially testing them out in. But we wanted to go and do that to really go and see how our baffling and our discharge was. So. Again, you go and combine the baffling and ensuring that there's no stagnant air, making sure the blades are just right. That's why we even went with, I believe it's 60 and not 61, 61 and not 60. That was just to make sure that we can get the airflow just right that goes and matches with a more narrow discharge to be able to go and shoot it out the maximum distance.
Real quick, because man, we're on a roll now. But we got
it's good. Keep going.
Do you have a baffle adjustment on this? I don't know if you said it. We've covered so much. The current mower that I have, guys, it has a knob and you can change it. You always keep it all the way open. Like they're like, oh, for sunny conditions, use like a mid-grade baffle. And if it's really wet, use bring the baffle down more narrow. No, you want it full open to just be able to chuck and get all that grass out. Maybe I'm wrong, but is there some sort of baffle adjustment on that?
There's a lot of clever baffling designs out there that make them adjustable, and we're working through our own right now. It's currently going through the testing and the patenting phase right now, so I can't speak too much to it. But definitely that's something that, again, to ensure that we alleviate as many concerns as possible, is to get the baffling just right. Making it adjustable is definitely something that's on our radar.
Well, boy, I'd love to keep this going. And I wish we had the opportunity to keep it going, but I know your son's got a hockey game. How's the team doing?
They're doing all right. They got a little ways to go, but it's the holiday season hockey tournament, so that always goes and keeps everyone quite busy. And then we have a daughter that's very, very into dance, and that's keeping us even more busy there. Okay. So the combination keeps us on our toes.
And what position does your son play?
Forward, left.
Left forward?
Left wing. Yeah.
Okay. I was listening to an interview on Wayne Gretzky. They asked him what he was like when he was younger, and I guess he scored 400 goals one season as a youngster. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can get your son to start hammering it and see what you can do. How old is he?
He's 12. Yeah, we're working on getting that stick to flex a little bit more so we can get a little bit more power behind it.
And he can probably check me through the glass. Half the battle was hockey guys. I mean, I don't know much, but half the battle is learning how to skate. Years ago, remember this?
Yeah.
Like my dad, we used to build
set up a hockey rink.
Here's what we do. Brodie here, when it was a colder, the climates were a little bit colder here in Michigan, we'd build a hockey rink in our side yard and check each other off the glass. And my big thing is I couldn't stop when I could pick up some speed, but with hockey and aiming the game is just being able to stop. So
Yeah,
your son,
you're just
though.
like me. That's how I was too. So I just would find somebody and just get them as hard as I could, just to slow me down and make it look like it was on purpose.
Check
funny.
you into the snowbank on the side in the builder.
Why don't you
That's a
show
hip check, right?
show the listeners or show Brodie, Greg, what hat that you're
Oh, can you see the
wearing
hat
there?
I'm
I don't
looking at?
Oh,
think
hey,
he's-
that looks
he's able to
sharp.
See
There you
that?
go.
Yeah, that's
So
actually.
we're carrying-
We're gonna do. Brodie was so gracious, guys. He sent me a sleeve of hats, and he wasn't joking when he said sleeve of hats. Like, I got a big box of hats, gaiters, and keychains, and my wife's like, "What are you gonna do with 20 hats?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, good question." So we're gonna try to do in the next couple of episodes here, kind of raffle them and give them away and send them to
Absolutely.
our nerdy users. So.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Let us know if you got anything
Absolutely.
else. We can try and send it. If you have any other premiums, we can send out for you. We'll do that.
We'll
for
get
you as
some.
well.
We'll get
All
some
right.
stuff over to you guys.
Okay. Well, if there's anything else you want to say, you're welcome to say. And if not, we can go ahead and finish you up here and let you get off to your hockey game.
Yeah, I think the most important thing that for your listeners to hopefully take away from this conversation is that we talked a lot about YAKTA, but hopefully what really came across was alleviating concerns of you guys, your listeners, the end users. And we're here to listen, we're here to adjust, we're here to pivot, and we adjust very, very quickly. If there is a concern that we see has not been addressed, or maybe we went in the wrong direction with it, even though we thought we might have been going in the right one, you don't have to wait years to go and see a new design. You will see that in the matter of months, and we will go and fix it. So if you have any thoughts, any suggestions, if there's something that's just been paining you and that you wish that a manufacturer would just go and pay attention to, feel free to reach out, follow us. We're on any social platform, even Threads. We're on Threads.
Oh, Threads, there you go.
I know, right? So we're wherever you need us to go and be. Find us online, yakta.com. That's YAKTA.com. And reach out. We're here to assist. We're here to do all that we could do to go and bring the industry forward.
And we're talking, just as a reminder here, guys, we're talking to Brodie Milne. He's the Chief Marketing Officer at YAKTA. And boy, Brodie, we really want to thank you for the time that you gave us today. And this is amazing. We are just tickled that we had a chance to get you on here with us.
Hey, no one's more pleased and thrilled than me. So I really appreciate you having me.